Hi, I'm Rev Megas. How are you doing? I do this kind of tarot and channeled messages stuff, so these are collectives, although this is pretty specific, so please don't make this one fit. Um, also got some of my... You're struggling to see... You're struggling to grow through adversity. And unfortunately right now you're going through a lot of change that is difficult. And so one of the things that's hard for you is really moving through challenges in a way um, that's constructive for you, that doesn't make you more bitter or guarded. But there's really a lot to be seen and revealed through this big old sudden change that you're experiencing right now. And there's a lot of potential for growth and change and transformation, also releasing a lot of baggage and BS that has been around for too long. It just isn't serving you anymore. And I kind of act like a Jacob's ladder with energy, so if you see that happening, that's just confirmation. Alright, if this is where we are, let's take a look at the wider picture. Came from a place of holding on tight, really just trying to stay where you were. Moving into a place of maybe staying where you are. This is where you were, which is 4 of Stones. And I like to think of that as being grounded, and it's a, 4 feet on the ground, but at the same time, this is like, when I look at this, I just see, we've got 4 stones there, but the landscape is so barren. There's nothing green. It looks smoky. There's some faint color on the stones, so I feel like in the past, whatever has been around you has been, for the most part, entertaining or bringing some dimension to your life. But I feel like there's nothing left there. Unfortunately, it seems that you may have just been kind of stuck there. Trying to make it work in one way or the other. Perhaps for financial stability or some sort of financial gain. What I just heard is like, it's like this was the plan for so long that even though this isn't exactly the plan anymore, like things have shifted and changed. This too is barren, although there's a little water at the bottom here, so there's some emotion wrapped up in this, but this is also illuminating a path through. There's a sense of really holding on to something, a past situation, a dream that just didn't come to fruition. 7 of Stones. Something halted this growth. This is all stones, though, although I do see, this is the thing, when I look at this, I see yellow, I see blue, I see red. So we have the stones, but we have air and water and fire. So at one time it feels like the elements, like everything was present in this for creating, I guess, a financial foundation. And it feels like maybe there's so many stones here. and it's like the color just drained out of everything because it became all so material. You're in this place of change. You're also, above you is sort of balance, and there's a few things about balance happening right now, and then one of them is just managing the stuff that you've got going on in your life at the moment. The other one is having too many things in your life to manage at the moment that's sending other things out of balance. Okay. Thought something would fall out. Oh, wow. This is a coral fossil. And the thing about these particular coral fossils is that they're more solitary. So they're solitary corals, rugose corals. But corals, corals are about communication, and these little guys specifically too, these old fossils, are about spiritual communication. So as we look underneath here, this situation, this is the the covert. This is the overt, which is balancing all the things in life and trying to do all this stuff and still focusing on these stones. And then we have this big old shift, this big old change, the death card. Things are changing now, and communication, spiritual communication, the overt, the covert, the hidden is the Hierophant. Spiritual understanding, a seed has been planted, and you may be not exactly used to receiving synchronicities and signs, but you're starting to see them, and you're starting to become a little bit more aware of feeling energy as well. It is challenging. It is challenging you to go through this. It is challenging your sense of reality and sense of understanding the world. And there is also someone around you who has more knowledge about this, perhaps. And may be able to give you some really important insight. I see that key right there. The Hermit is moving forward where we're going energy, and so it talks about being being closed off. And so the thing I'm seeing with the Hermit too is he's looking actually back at the rest of this stuff. Everything is looking back at all of these stones. The Hierophant is looking back at it. Death is looking back at it. The Hermit is looking back on it. So you're in this situation where you're reflecting on this. The spiritual world is saying, change. This whole idea of like material world stability and career and like what you had planned for moving forward, that's shifting big time. And it's not feeding you anymore. It's not satisfying you. You're trying to do a lot of different things and you're still not getting that satisfaction out of it. And you're looking at it right now. And the Hermit is sitting there looking at it, and that's a pretty isolated card, although there's a lot of introspection going on in that. You are going through, this is Eon, Judgment. This is that, it's a very difficult card. It's a painful card of transformation. Transformation is painful. But the end result of that is something absolutely beautiful. I think one of the areas that you're struggling with right now is reckoning with, there is a lot of analysis going on about where you have come from and where you've been. There's a lot of beating yourself up in a sense because you feel like as you're looking back on things, you feel like you wasted your time. You feel like you did all of this work for nothing, like nothing came out of this, or it ended too quickly, or it's not giving. It didn't give, and it's not giving, and it's like it's being squeezed, but it's, you know that, and that's the thing. I think deep down you understand and you know that this isn't, that there's no going back. There is no going back. That you know that there is no going back. Ace of Swords. What else could it be? You know there's no going back. You know there's no making anything out of the scraps. Like there's things being reused and recycled and upcycled, and there's not anything else to be drawn from. And I feel there's a sense of you don't know which direction you're going in now. Or maybe you do. Something was put out there. I'm seeing blue flame. I'm seeing the blue flame on the side here. And there's a sense of bringing in balance. There's a sense of completion, so it is working your way through a journey, burning off what doesn't serve, and really trying to take action to move to a clearer path. And there is somebody, this is a companion. This is not a relationship like a romantic kind of thing. But this is a real heartfelt companionship. And as I look at the peacock up there, there's an imbalance. I just see the bird looking at the one cup, which is all in the light, and then this other one, which really is identical, but it's in the shadow, not being looked at, and there's the I Ching here, which is, completion or whatever. But it just looks like a burden. And there may be something in the sense of being on this path to rid yourself of this burden, so that needing to hang up those swords there and move into that peaceful garden behind it. And I love the I Ching. Now, I don't know much about I Ching. I really don't know anything about it, but I'm just looking at the shape of it. And it looks like a cup waiting to be filled. So there is something here about hearts and minds. Whatever you're letting go, there's a fear of moving, of what you might lose, or what you might never find again. And this is in the future. This is where you're moving towards by leaving this behind. And this really is telling me a balance of hearts and mind. So passions are very similar. Depth is very similar. Emotions are very similar. Mentally, there's a connection. There's an understanding. So this is a very powerful bond. And a very rewarding one. So let this... The only way you're going to get here is by letting go of the idea that the only way you're going to get that 10 of stones, that completion, that material fulfillment, that abundance, is from this past thing. It's done and it's over. You are definitely better off moving forward on to new adventures and new discoveries. And message from Spirit here. The Lovers. The Moon. You gotta start diving into your own depths. Going inside. Because this whole situation has beautiful potential if you allow it. But you have to let go of what is done and what is being released right now. Some of this may still be ongoing. It may be a process, which is why death is also looking back. Let that go. Make sure you're learning and understanding, but try to steer away from look at all the things I did wrong and focus more on here is how I can do it better. Because berating yourself is not going to keep you anywhere but in here hurting for a longer time. If you can show yourself some compassion and empathy and understanding, practice forgiveness with yourself. It's always a good thing to do. It's always the hardest forgiveness too. It's forgiving ourselves, but at the very least we deserve our own forgiveness. And anything else, just fell right into my hand. There is some smoke clearing and some dust settling. Don't ignore that either. You will find some understandings and some lessons and some answers in the swirls and clouds of dust and smoke. Love you, bye.